What's up guys, it is Monday, which means I am back with a whole nother week of deck profiles. I'm starting off with Scheherazade, the Teller of 1001 Stories, because we still left off with the last two NPR rulers. Tomorrow will be Kane. This deck is inspired by Ipank's second place Alice World deck, which I found extremely interesting, as well as one of my good friends Miles Nasset's Moojart kind of control deck. So I put the two decks together, so it's just like totally inspired by both of their ideas. This isn't original in any way. And yeah, I wanted to show it off and I'll explain as I go. For the Magic Stones, I decided to run a Moojart, of course, because the whole deck revolves around this, as well as a Feetsing because it's all blue-green. I can stack the correct stone with Liberators, so I didn't see it being an issue to have both of them in there, because I'm not going to see the one I don't want first turn. For Magic Stone of Deepwood, like I said, the whole deck is blue-green. And for Magic Stone of Moonlight, once again, not a problem, because you get to stack the correct stone with Liberator. So for the Resonators, I run for Morgania, the Wise Servant. What this card does is instead of every instance of draw, you can replace it with instead look at the top 3 cards of your deck, pick one and add it to your hand, and put the other 2 on the bottom of your deck in any order. And the way it would work with multiple draws is, let's say if you play a Cheshire Cat, you would look at the top 3 cards of your deck, pick one, put the other 2 on the bottom, and then choose another 3 cards on the top of your deck, pick one and put one on the bottom, and then Cheshire's effect resolves, and you put 1 card from your hand on top of your deck. And why this card is good is it lets you kind of dig through your entire deck to get the proper cards you need. I ran this in my Persona Grim deck as well as the other kind of adapted Persona deck I had with Scheherazade also, just because I was able to get one of every single card I kind of needed. So I'd have like a Meph if I needed it, I'd have a Zeeks, I'd have a Cake Zone. It just like you can really go through your deck really quick with this. And it kind of lets you get kind of back to your mulligans too. I know that sounds crazy, but there's been a lot of instances where I've dropped like this, and then the turn after drop like 2 Cheshires or Cheshire and a Green Cat, and essentially you just look at the top 9 cards of your deck, which is actually really crazy. And then for Cheshire Cat, of course, to combo with that. Also, just to note, Morgania is human and story, so she's 2 races. I'll get into why that's important later. But then we have Cheshire Cat. For familiars, this is also 2 races. It's familiar and cat. Cheshire Cat is just fairy tale, but that's fine. I then have 4 Hondos, which of course continuously keeps, this is another draw card that also works with Morgania, so it's 12 draw cards that let me just look at the top 3 cards in my deck and pick what I need. It's also really important to know that this is flying, so it's really good against the Bahamut matchup, because if you can play it after they have Bahamut, you kind of get a free blocker. For Feetsings, Feetsing is Elf and 6 Age, and it's also I wanted to be able to produce a lot of mana in this deck because Alice's World just lets me reset my churn. So the idea was to drop everything I needed to ramp in the first place, use up all my stones, and then end with Alice's World, and then essentially I get another turn of another draw, another Magic Stone, and I can keep pushing with the little monsters and not needing anything extremely big without specifically feeling like I'm falling behind, because I do get the additional churn. And then I have 3 Lunias. Because you can stack Moojart first turn with Scheherazade, what I do is if I mulligan really heavy and I get Cheshire and Lunia, I'll stack Moojart and be really just kind of early game, try to set up Moojart combos with Lunia and remove all of the Resonators. And if I have like a Morgania and a Green Cat or Morgania and a Cheshire, I'd rather stack a blue-green Deepwoods and then go with Morgania first turn. So you have to be really aware of what your hand is after mulligan before you decide what stone you want to stack, because it's extremely important. Because you don't really fall back for not setting up Moojart really early, because with all those draw cards you just get the perfect hand, and through those turns that you're setting up you kind of will hit Moojart anyway. So it's totally fine if you see the Lunia early, you'd hit the Moojart. If you don't see the Lunia early, just pick something else, so it's totally fine. And then 3 Moojart, I would run 2 of this and 2 Susanoo, but I only have 1 Super Susanoo, and I know that's an awful reason not to run more of something, but I have really bad OCD, so don't judge me. But 3 is also not bad because you get to double up on them a lot more often, so they give each other counters, and you have Feastings as well. But this is also 6 Age and Spirit, so it's another card with 2 races, which once again is really important for Alice's World, and I'll explain later. But yeah, Moojart lets you rest Resonators, which with Alice World is great because you can attack directly and then reset your turn and then keep attacking because they're still rested. So it's just really good to be able to rest their stuff, as well as it also draws, which essentially is normally good itself, but you can also combo with Morgania if you have one still by the time you play Moojart. And then 1 Susanoo, once again, I would play 2 of this because I think 2 is a decent number. I wouldn't run more than 2 in the main deck, but 2 for sure. but because I only have one super, I only ran one, but I have three-sided, so it's not so bad. And yeah, of course, this combos with Mujard. If you see this early, even if they're not using dragons, like if you're not going against Bahamut, you can still play this by making them into dragon. And if you are going against Bahamut, I wouldn't stack Mujard because unless you open the Lunia, you don't need it if you have the Susano, and you would just play it naturally. For my spells, I have 3 Zeeks. This deck is very passive, kind of like my 6 Ages was. I like to set up really early and kind of just hold my stones. If I have a counter, I'd rather use the counter and take away their resources, so eventually when I start dropping my bigger stuff, they don't really have anything to counteract it. And then I have 2 Cake Zones and 2 Exceeds. Just really heavy on the counter side. I like being able to just cancel everything, especially after I've set up. It also combos really well with Alice Worlds because you can technically kind of overkill all your stones and go really big and leave 2 open for Alice World because that's the lowest it can cost. Play the Alice World, you get another turn so you recover, and then hold all your counters in your hand and just play with whatever field you have. And on their turn, when they now try to finally get their turn and react, you have all this mana open to just counter everything. So it works really well against that as well. 2 stories because we're running Scheherazade. It's really good for removal. It's actually not bad in the meta right now because you can remove stuff like Lancelot or Rookeg, which especially Rookeg gets really annoying because a lot of times when Bahamut players are low on hand and they're getting desperate, they'll just sack the Rookeg for Bahamut and then get another Rookeg, and it's so frustrating because you know that even if you get rid of Bahamut, they're also going to deactivate next turn, and because of priority, you can't do anything. So if you can get like an early stories off on a Rookeg, it actually really hurts them. And then 2 Liberate the World. Why I decided to run this is because I really like the idea of being able to dig through my entire deck, and stuff like this I can grab like a Feetsing, I can grab an Alice World because I only have 2 of it, I can grab a Lunia, a Susano. I just like the idea of being able to just really flush through my deck extremely fast. And then of course the last 2 is just the last 2 Alice World. How this card works exactly is it loses 1 cost per different race you control, and it's normally 8 cost, and the most it can lose is 6 because it's colorless cost that you lose, and on enter you gain an entire new turn. So you would use all your cards, play Alice World, and then reset, draw a card. Of course, it's now your turn again, tap for another stone. You get all the benefits of having a new turn, so essentially this is like the biggest plus you can have in the game because you get you get your draw, you get your mana stone, you get kind of everything. And like I mentioned, the reason why it's not such a big deal is because, let's see, if I have, let me slide this off to the side. If I have Morgania, and it lives for a turn, and then I go Green Cat, turn 2, they attack, I purposely don't block. Turn 3, they, attempt to attack again, and I drop Feasting to prevent damage, maybe block. This is now Story Human, Familiar Cat, and Elf and 6 Age. That's already 6 races, which will make this cost as low as possible. And then on your turn, you can, let's say I have now 4 stones, I can drop like a Hanzo, dig out with Morgania, and play Alice World, reset the turn. Now I have 5 stones, I can attack with everything I have now, which is a decent amount of damage. And then maybe with 5 stones I can go Mujart something, summon Lunia, remove it from the field. So there's just a lot of different ways of why that additional turn really helps. And I mean, I know it's common sense, but a lot of people just go, oh, you're never going to get those cards on the field. But like with this is such a common situation in most, against any green deck. I mean, this was normally, let's say you see an Elvish Priest, now it's just a Morgania. So this is really common. It's not like crazy. You don't have to worry about like, setting up a Mujard and a Susano where you're like, oh, okay, these are all high levels or anything. This is actually extremely common, and I feel totally comfortable being able to play it with just those races if I needed to. Lastly, for the side deck, I have 2 Purple Mist because I do run essentially 9 blue stones minus the Feetsing. I wanted kind of the deck, if I was going in something that had a lot of heavy beaters like Wybers and stuff, I kind of wanted something that, I mean, of course I wouldn't block Wyber with the Purple Mist because I could just Lunia it, but I wanted to have my own amount of pressure as well. So I decided to run 2 Purple Mist just because it's untargetable and stays on the field, and it's just really good in general. The 1000 flying is great. 2 Scheherazade, the actual Resonator. Why I like this is because on enter you get to pick a race and they can't attack with that race anymore, and it's really hard to get rid of this immediately the turn after, especially with the meta, because people aren't running Flame at the moment, they're not running Stoning to Death, and no Carmelas really. You don't see Dark used often because it's a lot of Light Rush or Red Rush kind of decks like Knights and Bahamuts. And so let's say if you're going against knights and you call Knight of the Round Table, and they summon something that's not a knight, let's say Gwyber, you could just Moonguard it into Knight of the Round Table, and now that Gwyber can't attack either. And you can just always keep your stones open for that, and they can't do anything about it. And then 3 Susanoo, like I said, I would main 2 if I had another super, and side 2, but just keep that in mind. I know I'm sorry, I know it's annoying, and you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but it's just really bad. The OCD is too strong. 2 shooting stars because I don't have any main deck blue spells other than Alice World, and this isn't a really bad card. I like being able to redirect stuff like Purifying Flame and Thunder, or if you go against one that has like a lot of removal, like Vlad typically has like a lot of Stoning Cadets or whatever, you can just redirect this to their cards. And then 2 Glimpse of Kaguya works really good against Grim. It's kind of making a comeback because a lot of people are noticing Grim's a good matchup against Bahamut. So you can, if you're going against the Grim, you can cancel his drop Fairy Tale to draw one. To search one, so you cancel that and then draw a card yourself. 1 Absolute Cake Stone that's extra, 1 Zeke that's extra, and 1 Exceed. Just because, like I said, I like playing really passively in this deck. And then just 1 Heavenly Feathered Robe. This isn't the best card, but like I said, against Knights, I really like it. You can take a Gwaine and now they're not powered up. You can take a Lancelot and crash into something. It just feels really good, and because I had all blue, I felt like I could afford to run it without any problem, so I just decided 1. So that was my Scheherazade, the Teller of 1001 Stories deck profile. If you guys have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. If you want a quick copy of the deck list, just check out the Too Long Didn't Watch version where I just skim really fast through the deck to give you guys the list. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do, because I have Kane's deck profile coming tomorrow, 3 more deck profiles from Wednesday to Friday, and then I'm going to Houston for the event, so I'll have a bunch of the top 8 coverage and all those deck profiles for there, and I will catch you guys next time.